Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dark Apocrypha. It is a very special week. It is
Custard Week, guys.
Custard Week.
Yay!
It is well known that in the dawn of time, at some point, the Emperor invented the Space Marines.
Yeah, they
and
did,
before he invented the Space Marines, he invented the Primarchs.
Mm-hmm.
Before he invented the Primarchs, he invented the Thunder Warriors.
Yep.
Before he invented the Thunder Warriors, he invented the Adeptus Custodess.
Yes.
The Golden Custard Warriors.
And everyone knows that they're the right hand of the Emperor.
They're the right hand of the Emperor.
And the flan of silence is the left hand.
the flan of silence.
And together, they're the Emperor's tarot. Right?
The Emperor's tarot,
yeah.
which is used to this day in Mexico.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All of this lore is completely true.
Yep.
And you should believe all of it and tell all your friends.
Everything.
All of it.
Also, the Adeptus Custodess are delicious.
They are so good. They come from Golden Light, which is also known as our Amazing Jen's oven, I guess. Is that where you make custard?
Something.
Yeah. So we're just going to be eating custard for the next hour or two.
And talking about all of the stats and relative battlefield strengths and weaknesses of custard.
Yeah, so I think it's like sugar 1 cup, egg, like on a 2+ it eggs you, right?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty good. I think it has like 10 wounds at least.
It does. You can add cinnamon to it. That's like +5 points.
Right, +5 points.
No, that's nutmeg.
Oh, well, but if you add cinnamon, it's +5 points and it gets an extra attack because cinnamon's very aggressive, right?
All right, we're done.
Yes.
All right. So in reality, though,
reality.
Oh, I love that. Oh, it's so good.
Adeptus Custodess is here. Dun dun dun.
and it's not alone.
And
Zoom, 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 zoom,
zoom zoom zoom.
We got all of our. So we've got
At Stable Abe's Custodess Imperium.
Yep.
Custodess Emporium. We got Trajan Valoris.
Yep.
We have Virtus jet bikes.
Yep. We got Vexilia.
We have Vexilla. We got all.
We got a Venerable Land Raider, right?
Yeah,
This is
the
transport for the.
This is the transport for the. Yes, they all sit in there. We have a full Custodess army ready for you guys. We're going to be playing games later on today. With it, as we speak, just off camera, Matt is painstakingly building crafting a beautiful table for us.
Definitely very painstaking.
He's bleeding
But
right now.
we
Yeah,
do.
all over the place.
But we have the Codex, as you can see. It is right here. It is beautiful. It is a svelte Codex, which is the best way to put that. Clocking in at 80 whole pages.
Yeah.
And we have it. And questions. So
Questions.
so first of
Not yet.
all, everybody start to put all of your questions into chat. We have the Codex. We are here. We want your questions. We'll be talking about it for the next hour, and then we'll be going and playing our game. So everyone start loading up all your questions into the chat. For everyone watching us on Facebook Live, come on over. We are on twitch.tv/Bell of Lost Souls. We want to talk to you guys directly. We want your questions. We want you to interact and have fun with us, both with the Codex and the game. If you're watching us on Bowls, and we know you are, click the little purple button that says Twitch on the bottom right. It's down there. And that will move you right on over into chat. Once again, we have the book. We are here to answer your questions. So everyone come on over, and the talk show is about to begin.
So I think I've gone over the rules pretty good. And Larry, you've actually gone over all the fluff for this book.
I have read every bit of it.
And this is an interesting book because it's one of the first books in 5th edition that's really new fluff, right? Like,
Yes.
like some of it's from 40, some of it's from like
Yeah.
30K and some stuff.
Yeah, the
but,
Custodes previously, actually, they've gotten a huge amount of dedicated fluff in the last year. So,
Right.
So in the Inferno book, in book 6 of the Horse Heresy series of from Forge World, the leatherbound, the big expensive leatherbound books, Inferno had a section on the Custodes that was actually pretty long. So there was a good 20 pages of new background, which really went into the details of the organization. So that was really good and gave us a lot more. And I thought that a lot of this book was just going to basically be cut and paste from that, but it's not. They built upon it and they added even more. So between those two books, we know a lot about the organization now. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is the book that's going to tell us what they've been doing since the Horse Heresy. Right?
Exactly. What have they been doing for 9,000 years?
And is
Perfecting their custard
They
recipe,
have.
obviously.
It's so good.
Cooking.
Yep, they've just been baking. Well, I
You
guess
know, they're getting dinner ready for Dad. You know?
If you're a trader and you eat this custard, dead.
have they been baking or have they been stewing?
Terrible.
Just sitting there angry at the Primarchs.
No, they've been scalding.
Certainly not trusting the Primarchs.
Not trusting the Primarchs. So far,
at all.
by the way, my favorite line of this entire book, I'm going to read it to you right here.
There we go.
My favorite line on the fluff, which just gives me it's an amazing line for these guys, and it's a great line for like 40K. This is like the old school 40K.
So remember, if you play Space Wolves and you love the Emperor, if you play Blood Angels and you love the Emperor, if you play Ultramarines and you think that you're the ultimate goody two-shoes Marine player, just remember when you have Custodes on the board, this is what the Custodes think of you.
To the Custodians, even the most loyal Space Marine chapters will always be potential traitors. It is their duty never to forgive nor forget what trust in the Primarchs led to.
Yep.
It doesn't matter who you are, you're just a potential traitor.
You're just one step away from stabbing him in the back.
Yep, and that section, by the way, comes from there's a whole section here about how they've infiltrated the Phalanx, the Imperial Fist's big space fortress, and they have a button just to shut it down if they think something's going on up there.
Yeah. So even though the Imperial Fists are ultra loyal, Rogel Dorn, and they and their job is to defend the Imperial Palace, if they try anything, the Custodes have already sabotaged all their crap, and will just push a button and it's all gone. Because fool me once.
Yeah. And I like there's a lot of stuff in here. They've talked about their fortresses. They've got a fortress that seems to be both guarding and watching Mars.
Yes.
It's just an orbit over Mars, and it's like, yeah, we're totally here to protect you, Mars.
That makes sense. I mean, they're watching Mars to learn her cooking techniques.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. That makes sense. I do that all the time.
I also had not realized that Luna was classified as a death world until this book.
I mean, it is a moon.
Well, yeah, Venus isn't a death world. Venus is a forge world.
Maybe there's something really dangerous on the moon.
We don't know.
I don't know.
All right, so we've got some questions.
Yeah,
all right, so questions. Come on, guys. What do you got?
First question, semi-serious. Isendar wants to know, does it have any custard-related recipes
Nope.
in the book?
Not at all.
Unless,
They're keeping those secrets sound.
like, I don't know. Maybe I haven't broken the code, so I suspect maybe if you took the first letter from every sentence in this book,
It smells delicious.
Yeah, like it might turn into some kind of recipe.
It smells delicious.
You know, the Adeptus custodians are big at hiding things in here.
They are really good at hiding
Yeah.
things. All right, question
All
number
right.
2.
River City Gaming wants
All right,
to
River
know,
City Gaming.
how much is a captain in Alaris armor? How
Okay.
much are the Vexilla? Are they still 25 points?
All right, here we go.
No.
Alaris, a captain in Alaris armor.
So that's a Terminator captain.
Yeah, Shield Captain Alaris armor. He's 130 base.
130 shield captain in Alaris Terminator armor, and then you want to know how much. And then you wanted to know how much a Vexilla costs.
Yes.
They're different points for the different Vexillas.
Correct. There are 3 different Vexillas now that do different things. I'm just going to read off the names and what they cost. The Vexilla Defensor is 20 points. The Vexilla Imperius is 50 points, and the Vexilla Magnifica is 30. All right.
All right. Banana Mandrew wants to know, what are the loadout options on those bikes?
So they can they get the lances, which are pretty cool. They're free, and they get either a hurricane bolter, or they get the whatever they call their missile launcher, which is called a.
Thank you, Jen.
You're so welcome.
It's called the salvo launcher. So they get either the hurricane bolter or the salvo launcher.
And the salvo launcher has 2 different types of missiles it can fire
Yep.
each turn.
And they get the Inceptor Lance. All of them get that, and they can all take Misericordia.
Because you know, because of the guy flying past you on a jet bike in golden armor with a 15-foot lance, as he flies by, he also is going to stab you in the back with his dagger.
I imagine they're like throwing daggers.
That's
They're
true.
like, Lance, throw a dagger.
No, they never are gonna give that Misericordia will never leave their grip. They only have one.
It's got a personal teleport on it. That comes back
Oh,
to them.
okay, that's true.
It's like
That's
Thor's
true.
hammer, right?
That's true. That's true.
Or,
I'll give you that.
What's the Space Wolf guy's hammer that always comes back to him too? Who's also
His
Thor.
magic hammer.
Magic
I
hammer.
don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, Rockfist. Arjac.
Arjax's hammer.
Arjac.
Yeah.
Arjac's
Clearly always
teleporting
comes
the
back.
hammer.
Yeah. All the Misericordias. I imagine like every piece of Custodes gear is so rare that it has a personal teleport that teleports it back to the Custodes Hall on Terra. Like
they don't actually put their armor on. They just wake up in the morning and hit the button.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
snap
this.
Solstice with that resub.
Yay.
7-month resub high for
Solstice.
Solstice. I don't know who
Yay.
you are, where you are, but
Well,
thanks.
it's me. I'm right here.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
I
This
never
whole
would have
time.
guessed. Matt Sol is Solstice.
The whole time it's been me.
Snap! The map behind the curtain revealed.
Any more questions out there yet?
Yes.
All right.
Isendar says, actual question.
Yes.
So, another super elite army. What distinguishes the Custodes from being gold-painted GKs who don't do psychic powers?
These guys are way more potent than Grey Knights on a per model basis.
They're gonna be better in combat, worse at shooting. Overall,
I mean, they don't have psych cannons.
Well, Stormbolters have more shots than
Sure.
their Guardian Spears.
Yep.
There's not a ton. Like they're a more potent combat force, and they're gonna last a lot longer.
Yeah.
Um,
No psychics at all. They have like 1 or 2 items that can let them deny the witch. But
yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
They specifically say the Custodes have been designed to never be psychic.
Yeah.
So they will never have the army has no psychic abilities.
I mean, the best way for me to look at this and to distinguish it from something like Grey Knights is that just think of these guys as an all Terminator
Sure.
army. Like you don't think of the regular Custodes Guard as being a Terminator, but he is. He's got 2+ save. He's got a bunch of wounds. Like
Right.
everyone in this army is a Terminator or a jet bike.
Right. It's basically like yeah. I mean, it's not an exact comparison, but it is an army that kind of feels like a Deathwing army.
Sure.
It's that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's just
So, I mean, that's what's going to set them apart from, like, the normal Grey Knight infantry, is that Grey Knight infantry is still a lot cheaper.
and there's dudes.
They put out a lot more firepower, but
Yep.
they're not quite as potent in combat. And they've got different tricks. They've got all their weird teleport, moving around
Sure.
tricks, and psychic. And the Custodes are much more like, we're going to come fight this battle here and control this area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would say distinguishes them. Like, there's only so much in 40k you can do to distinguish, super elite armies, and
Yeah.
at least from the stat lines, and like most of that's going to come down to stratagems and things like that, setting them apart. But if you want to like compare Grey Knight Terminators to Custodes, there's not a ton of difference in how they actually work and what they do. But I mean, they're Terminators. They're all basically Terminators.
Also, one of them are gold.
Yeah,
and one of them are silver.
So one of them got first place.
So one of them is in first place, and one of them is in second place.
Yeah.
That's just clearly. I mean, that's not us. That's the Olympics.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just the way that works.
Yeah, blame the Greeks.
When the Bronze Army comes out, it's sad.
Yeah,
it's going to be all sad.
Well,
the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs are bronze.
And Khorne's brass.
It's different.
Sort of the same. Next question?
Next question.
All right, 1 second. Isendar says, I heard Larry say he actually read the fluff. Kudos. Dish with the deets. What new fluff is there? Dish? Is that a custard joke? Dish?
Possibly.
No. It might be.
Let's hear the deets, Larry.
The deets.
Yeah.
So there are 10,000 Custodes, which 10,000-ish. They have been guarding the Imperial Palace and all of Earth. This book has a big. In fact, I'll show you guys.
It's a pretty cool map, actually.
It has the first time we've seen a pretty detailed map of. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. There's a large map of the Imperial Palace with all of its sectors, and it actually goes into great detail about all of the different portions of it, which are all under the control of the Custodess. They're in charge of all of it. They talk about the fact that the palace goes down in its deepest caverns, 100 miles underground, which is pretty good. And that the Custodess basically have been defending. They defend not only the palace but all of Earth. Which, at that point you're like, oh, maybe 10,000 guys isn't a whole lot. Isn't that? And then when the Great Rift occurs, setting up 8th edition, the Great Rift, of course, reverberates through Earth, and that is when the giant Khorne Legion just appears directly in the Imperial Palace and attacks directly. And Guilliman is there, and the Custodess are there, and they fight it off. And in the aftermath of fighting off the big chaos attack on Earth, the Captain General of the Custodess, Trajan Valoris, he and Guilliman have a sit down, and they rewrite the official the constitution, the constitutional authority of the Custodess, which has basically been unchanged since forever. They rewrite it and expand the Custodess to have authority instead of just to Earth. They consider all of the entire Sol system to be the extended grounds of the palace, and thus under their control. So, which is now allowing them to leave Earth, and they have a much greater mandate to leave the Sol system on to go perform specific duties if it where the Captain General feels it's very specific. So these guys are still not out there fighting orcs and doing big campaigns, but in general they said compared to before the coming of Guilliman to afterwards, now the Custodes are all over the place. Their little strike forces of them are going all over the place. They're definitely all over the Sol system, on every planet.
They're definitely not out there fighting orcs.
Okay,
they never go out there and fight orcs. That never happens.
I mean, they might fight an orc or two, but they're all over the place, and we get lots of details into all of the different suborders of the Custodes. Also, the weird part is that unless you're talking about the Black Templars, this is probably from the whole this should be a really rare army. Actually, there's 10,000 of them. There's a lot of these guys, right? The Ultramarines. There's 1,000 Ultramarines at most, and there's 1,000. So there's a lot of these guys. Out there doing stuff. So there's every rationale now that Guilliman has basically given them a new constitutional amendment, giving them new powers for them to be out there and showing up on battlefields.
Right.
And there's a lot of different sub-orders of them that have been talked about now. So we get the orders of them. The Shadow Keepers are the one that seems the coolest. So it's revealed that in the Horse Heresy books, there was a color plate of a Custodess who was wearing black armor from a mysterious organization, and they didn't talk about it. And in this book, you find out that he's a Shadow Keeper. So underneath Terra, there is basically a super prison that the Imperium built. These guys, there's a super prison where they keep basically ancient terrors and things that cannot be killed, that just have to be imprisoned for all time. And there's a core of 100 Custodes called the Shadow Keepers, who basically are the guards and run this prison. When the Great Rift occurs, many of those cells mysteriously go empty. So now you're seeing members of the Shadow Keepers are going out into the galaxy to follow rumors and leads to find their escaped prisoners and drag them back to the cells. And there's a bunch of other. There's one division. There's one section of the Custodes who are basically bodyguards, and they go out and find key members of the Imperium who, for some reason or another, they've deemed are particularly important and need to live, and they'll just show up on battlefields and protect them, act as like a temporary bodyguard to make sure that they live, and then once all the danger's gone, they'll just take off.
Bye-bye.
So there's all kinds of cool stuff in there.
There's a really cool map here. This is the defenses of the Sol system, basically. So they've got all that.
All covered with Custodes fortresses and bases.
There's
not only in the
Mars.
Sol system, but in all of they have big bases on all of the warp conduits that lead to the Sol system.
Yep.
So it's all blocked up. It's pretty good.
And what I'm interested to figure out what artifact 9 Kappa MU is.
I don't know, but it's like in the Sol system.
It is in the Sol
which
system.
Is
There is
creepy.
some classified stellar body artifact in the Sol system.
I think it's the monolith.
Maybe. Yeah.
I watched 2001.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's a really cool thing we now figured. So one of the big questions was they said that Custodes are effectively immortal because they're so genetically pure. So the question was always, do they get old? What happens to them? Do they die of old age? And in this book, it is revealed that they retire. At some point, when they become very, very old, they do start to suffer terrible physical frailties, like their reaction times drop 1/10 of a second, which is unacceptable to them. And when such things happen, they just go to the Captain General and they admit that their bodies are failing them. They're 1/10 of a second too short, too slow,
They cannot stir the custard quick enough.
Right.
quick enough, and they retire. They turn in all of their equipment, are given black robes, and they disappear into the Imperium, never to be seen again, where they become an organization known as the Eyes of the Emperor, and basically they're described as spy masters. They just go off into weird little parts of the universe, and they set up surveillance and spy networks, and they just keep an eye on things. As just a big giant 7-foot tall super soldier dude in a black robe.
My theory is that's what Ogrins come from.
It's not.
There are no real Ogrins. They're all just
No.
retired custodians. No, think about it. Their stats are the same, except that they're not as good at hitting and shooting because their reflexes have degraded.
They just let.
They've got the same strength, toughness, and wounds as a Custodes.
They just let it go. They're just
they're let me put my Ogrin mask on.
They're I've been going to the gym 8 hours a day for 1,500 years, and I'm just gonna eat dessert now.
Dessert, how else does a giant 7-foot tall Superman hide up in plain sight?
You should write that up and submit it as your piece to Black Library. And see if they'll hire you as an author. That's fantastic. So that's really cool. So that's some of the neat new lore, and there's a lot of it. But more questions.
Yeah.
We got rules. I know you guys want the stratagems. We got warlord traits. All kinds of cool stuff.
And Inoke says, how many models per unit are the Virtus Praetors?
There, 3 to 10.
3 to 10. And if you bought 10 of them, boy, that would be an expensive unit.
Bloodbeard, resub hype, 4-month resub.
Bloodbeard, you are the best. Thank you very much. Bloodbeard.
How's everything going in the shop?
And give us a question.
Matt is biting his lip right now so he can have blood in his beard, just like you. It's getting there. It's getting there.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much blood.
Alright, Isendar says, Ven LRs and jet bikes. Any classes of vehicles in between?
Yeah, they got jet bikes.
No, you got the dreadnought.
You got the dreadnought. You get.
So this entire book, just so you know, the entire army list, unit wise, it's 12 pages.
Yeah.
This is a really small army. There's,
Yeah, you get Contemptors and you get Land Raiders. So those are the actual vehicles. The jet bikes are not vehicles.
correct. The jet bikes are just
They're bikers.
they're bikers.
Yeah. But yeah, you get
There
a
are
lot
no,
of HQ options.
There are no rhinos. There's no nothing. What I am genuinely curious to see is when are we going to get all of the Forge World units? Because Forge World has said that those are coming. which to me is very interesting because there's not enough of those to make a book.
Right.
So I wonder, are they going to wrap that up into like a larger book? But they've already kind of made rules for every. The only things that Forge World hasn't released rules in 8th for are the Custodes, and
Sisters of Silence.
And the Sisters of Silence and the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yeah.
So in theory, they could put all those together into like a little book and sell it, or maybe they'll just release it as a PDF. But they said that all of the full range of Custodess units are coming for 8th edition, and that's where you're going to see interesting things. Because on the Forge World side of things, you get 4 different vehicles, a land speeder equivalent, like a predator equivalent, a medium battle tank, and then a full-sized dedicated battle tank and a dedicated transport that are all hover and super badass and gorgeous models. So those 4 vehicles right there are going to be coming.
We shall definitely have points for all of those.
And then the really interesting thing is that we're going to get is that Forge World has the one thing that this army actually doesn't have, which is the Sagittarian Guard, who are basically custodians. They're just standard infantry, but instead of being armed with custodian spears, they all have ranged weapons, and they have super deadly, highly exotic ranged weapons. Those are the guys who just hang back and just shoot, which is something that this army, to be honest,
doesn't have. Yeah.
It doesn't have at all, and so that's the unit I'm really waiting for.
I mean, my plan still is just to take a 10-man unit of the bikers with the hurricane bolters and deep strike them in and shoot you with 120 bolter shots.
And then you use some stratagem to let you do it again.
Nah, you just charge them after that.
That's true. That's true.
All right, Banana Mandrew wants to know, is
Yes.
Samael sad that he no longer has the only jet bike in the Imperium?
So sad.
But just remember, don't cry for Samael, because he's a Dark Angel. So whatever.
He cries for himself.
Yeah, whatever.
Wow.
Don't pity those who pity
Savage.
themselves. And then 2, it's not Samael you should feel sorry for. It's Corvus.
Sure.
He's so sad.
Sure, yeah.
He's like not, he doesn't eat. He's like he feels weird. The golden jet bikes won't play with him.
Yeah.
Aw.
He's basically Rudolph of jet bikes.
He
right?
is.
Aw.
He's kind of the special. He's kind of special and maybe a demon or something.
He is the black horse.
Yeah.
He is the black horse.
And yeah, the rest of the jet bikes will hang out with him.
Yep.
So.
All right, AdMech1897
All right.
wants to know,
Okay.
did the Land Raider lose its invulnerable save?
I think it did actually.
We're looking.
Yeah, the Land Raider does not have an invulnerable save anymore. It does have a 6-up feel no pain.
It does have the 6-up feel no pain. Also, the Venerable Land Raider is 400 points. It's 250 plus the. No, it's more than 250. It's 283, right?
It's 283 base, which I don't know why they make.
It's 280.
points
It's
like
283. Each of the las cannon pairs is 50, so that's 383, and then the heavy bolter 17. So
Yep.
it's 400 points base. It has no other options. You can't give it anything.
You can give it Stormbolter and 100 kilometers.
Okay, fine. You can give it a Stormbolter and 100 kilo, but I mean it's really, really, really expensive.
I'm sad you can't give it a Misericordia.
It should have its Stormbolter should fire Misericordia. Misericordia sword.
Isendar says that Corvex is made of resin and is right to be ashamed.
That's
Sure.
fair.
He used to be made of metal. But yeah, I mean, my big question with this army is going to be, I think the real strength of this army is close combat.
Definitely.
I mean, it's not shooting. This army just doesn't shoot really well. If you want to give it quote unquote heavier weapons, you're going to be taking the Land Raider and the Dreadnought, which gives you okay heavy weapons, but they're still weapons that you can get so much cheaper from other Imperial
the
forces.
Dreadnought's not really worth it.
And I mean that's not why. And then they're so expensive that they're just going to further reduce the model count of your already tiny army. So I mean, I think the real strength of this. I mean, if there's people who are the real question to me is how many people. What's the percentage? What is the percentage of people who are going to collect this army, who actually are going to try to build it and play it dedicated as a pure army? And I think it's going to be really small, as opposed to people who are going to buy parts of this army to use an Imperial soup list to add them to their other. To their current, and I think you're going to see a lot of that. Yeah. So I think you are going to see Custodes are going to be showing up on tabletops. I just don't think you're going to see a lot of dedicated Custodes armies showing up on tabletops.
I mean, right now we've got 14 models, and that alone is 1,200 points.
Yes.
That's
14 models. 1,200
now,
points.
Now, admittedly, again, they're definitely a close combat army. I mean, you can get your guys that have 4 to 6 attacks for their basic model, basically at hitting on 2s at strength 6, with minuses to AP and doing multiple damage. So like,
hey, Rod Heath, thanks for that follow. Welcome to the Belfry.
Welcome. So I mean, like they definitely can hit in combat, and I think that's definitely where you want to use them.
And they have stratagems. They can get in there.
They can get in there.
You can teleport them in.
Yeah.
And you can do all kinds of stuff. So I mean, they're going to be. I mean, they're super good in close combat, and they have the rules and stratagems and special abilities to be able to get right on in there. So they're going to be in your face. You're going to have some really impressive, scary guys right on your face. But I think they're still going to struggle. Well, a dedicated Custodes army again, which is a big asterisk because I don't know how many of those you're going to see, is going to struggle with board control. They're going to struggle with managing objectives. They're going to really, really struggle with command points and stratagems.
Command points. I think they're going to have a hard time with Eldar with fast-moving lists because most of their ability to get there is they can deep strike a couple units here and there.
Right.
But units that can move away from that are going to give them a problem and just keep them at range. Dark Reapers are just really bad for them. I mean, they're bad for everyone.
Yeah, Dark Reapers are particularly bad because they don't. Because this is I mean, considering how tough and strong they are still a glass cannon army. Yeah. Just by the nature of having so few models. So any unit out there that can reliably get in lots of multi-wound, really heavy AP modifying shots. So any unit or army that can reliably be like, every time this unit fires, it's going to drop like 2 or 3 Custodes. The army's just not going to be able to recover from those kinds of casualties. And Dark Reapers can absolutely do that. They're going to be firing the 3-wound Starshot missiles.
Yep, and that's going to one-shot
into them.
Custodian infantry. Yeah,
hitting on 3s, reducing their saves. I mean, they'll still have a 4-up and vulnerable still, but every time they fail, that guy's just dead.
And you're going to be able to guide them doom because they're really susceptible to psychic powers again.
Yep.
So that's going to suck for them.
Yeah, I would actually, now that you think of, now that you say that, I would consider like a well-run Craft World army maybe one of their highest hurdles. Like that's a really tough army for them to handle because the Craft Worlder army is going to be more mobile. It's going to be quicker reaction. They're going to be using webway port. They're going to get the Alpha Strike off on them. Yep. Because they're not going to keep their their Dark Reapers are going to get the first shot. Yeah. And they may not be, the army may not be able to recover from that first shot if they get lucky.
Personally, I don't think the basic Custodian infantry are that good. I think they're too expensive for what they do.
You like the Wardens though? The
Wardens, I think, if you were going to take infantry, I think the Wardens are better for like 8 or 9 points more. You get an extra attack. I want to see what is that special rule that the Wardens get that makes them better, in addition to the extra. Yeah. Custodian Wardians. Okay. So they get a 6-up feel no pain. They get the extra attack in combat.
Oh yeah, they're 4 base. Yeah. They can take the axes.
Yeah, which are okay. Like I don't know.
They're slight.
Yeah. I don't actually know if they're better than the spears. They're just stronger. It's debatable, but I mean, overall, a 6-up feel no pain and an extra attack per model for a little bit more, I think, is probably worth it. I actually like the bikes. Yeah. I think they're a decent. I think the problem I have with them still is that they're really good at clearing out mid-range infantry with their firepower. Yep. I don't like the missile launcher option on them. It's short range and heavy and doesn't have enough shots. Right. And you can effectively get the same effect for a lot cheaper by using like drop scions or something with multi guns. Yep. And just drop those guys in. And they're going to be basically just as good. But they are pretty good in combat.
They're quite good in combat.
Yeah. And they're like a bunch of Hurricane Bolters at close range is going to chew up
especially
orcs and stuff like that.
Yeah, in 8th edition, because we all know that's that's the secret sauce of 8th edition is just shoot it more, and if you put a big squad, those guys each one of those bikes is going to be throwing out 12 shots. Yeah. At close range.
And they're going to get the 14-inch moves. So
they're going to get within 12 inches of you.
So I mean, they've definitely got that going for them. and they're tough enough. I mean, they're tough 6, which is good. I really wish they had
an extra couple wounds.
couple wounds.
Yeah, they have 4 wounds each. I think, really, honestly, that is the Achilles heel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the real issue is, I agree. I wish they were tough 6. Is the reason I think they didn't make them tough. Wound 6 is that if they made them wound 6, I think then they would absolutely just be like that is the only unit people would buy.
Sure. But I think there's a place. I think you might see several armies that take a couple of those in there. As allies, basically, as their own attachment to get that extra punch, because they are a pretty good counterpunch unit.
Oh, yeah.
And even just like 3 or 4 of them can throw out some good firepower and on a charge do enough attacks to mess up some infantry.
Yeah, like a little squad of like 3 or 4 of those jet bikes is going to give you a unit that it's going to be super fast. It's going to be a maneuver unit. It's going to be able to get anywhere on the board it needs to for contesting objectives. You can't easily charge it. Like, you actually have to throw a real unit at it if you want to try to beat it in close combat. And it has even a small number of them is kicking out. I mean, it's 40 each. You know, that's a lot of really mobile anti-infantry firepower. So it'll just clear out like all the scrub units in the game, and even decent units in the game will still suffer wounds just because of the volume of fire.
Yeah, definitely. Any more questions?
Yes, a ton.
All right.
Yep.
All right, so Bloodbeard wants to know, have points costs lowered for troops and land raiders? The index was 700 plus for troop and transport.
No, I think the basic troops are exactly the same as
the basic troops are exactly the same. There's some slight they changed the points slightly on the sword and shield option.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, they became more expensive.
Well, I can check real quickly.
Yeah. He'll grab the index. I'm going to read you the current points. So the current points, the custodians with guardian spears are exactly the same. So they are so all custodian guard. The normal guys are 40 points, unchanged. And then the weapon options are, if you take the spear, the guardian spear is 12. So the normal troopers are 52 points. The shield and where's the sword? The sentinel blade is 9, and the storm shield is 10. So it's 19 points. So that they go to 59 for the storm shield and.
And they were 54.
And they were 54.
In the book.
And I believe it's that the storm shield went way up.
The storm shield went up by 5 points. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
And the sentinels. Yeah. The only difference is in points is that the Misericordia cost. I don't know if they had. I don't remember. If
there were not Misericordias in there.
Yeah. So they can get the Misericordia. That's the upgrade. That's the difference there.
Yeah. The Misericordia is 4 points a model in all cases. Abe and I are disagree. I think it's worth it.
Oh, I think it's worth it.
I think it's.
No, I do.
Okay. I think because so what Misericordia gives you an extra attack that basically it has its own stats. It's basically a power sword, but it is an extra attack. And an extra attack, like on normal guardians, you're paying it's 4 points.
The Land Raider went up also.
You're paying 52 points for a normal trooper. With 3 attacks, and you can get a 4th attack for 4 points. So increase their fire, increase their attacks by a third for a tenth of the points, less than a tenth
it's definitely
of the point. It's totally worth it. So I mean, in general, if you can take a Misericordia, you should take one.
Yeah.
They're very good.
The Land Raider went up in the Codex by about 20 points.
In the Codex?
Yeah.
All right.
So I think this may be one of the first times we've actually seen stuff get more expensive coming from Index to Codex, and I don't think it's a good choice.
Well, they didn't have any. Remember, now they're getting all the invulnerables and stuff. But the Land Raider doesn't.
The Land Raider doesn't get any of that.
Strange.
And I mean, I still think that they're overpriced a little, especially the basic troops.
Yeah, it's kind of I mean, I honestly think that we're gonna play a few games. It feels like they're a little expensive for what they're doing, and I don't. It's hard to say. I mean, you can just arguably say that they're overpriced, but the question is, why are they overpriced?
Yeah.
And is it that they should be cheaper, or is it that they should shoot more?
Yeah.
And given the choice of what Games Workshop is trying to accomplish with the army, I think that they're probably costed where they should be.
Sure.
But they should have more firepower.
That's fair. And I think one of the things Games Workshop is running into that they have to that's clearly becoming an issue is that they're having to be really careful when they're costing things. Not because they're costing it within its book. Like, I feel like this book would be better if they were a little cheaper and wouldn't be broken, but because of how you use them with attachments. So if you make Basic Custodian too cheap and good, then why would I ever take Terminators? Terminators.
Sure.
Unless I
Yep.
wanted that special ability for the Terminator. But
Yep.
I could just replace all my Terminators with Custodian Guards.
And that is just the nature of the whole the keyword system, not the ally system, but the keyword system now, because everything is all unified in Imperial soup armies now. You got to be super careful on balance, which is why I think yes, they are super expensive, but I think how much they cost is where GW wants them to be.
Sure.
They want them to be. They want these guys to cost 50 points a model and to be super elite.
Sure.
If they made an error that maybe they'll factor tweak in the future, it's that I don't think they shoot enough. I think that their shooting lethality is not high enough on a per model basis for something that costs 50 points.
All right, Jen, next question.
All right, Eisner wants to know. He
Yo.
says, say words about relics as well as stratagems, please.
Relics and stratagems are in this book. They're cool.
Sibilance.
I'm a
Yes,
fan of them.
sibilance.
Sibilance.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk. We're gonna wade into stratagems. Now, stratagems, I will say that on stratagems, considering how small the Codex this is and how few units it has, there's a giant amount of stratagems.
Giant amount of
So
stratagems.
they have and I think that compared to most other armies, also the use of stratagems is is going to. I mean, proper use of stratagems already makes or breaks armies. It's particularly critical for this.
And I think the problem is you have a lot of little fun stratagems in here that you're never going to get to use because you're not going to have the points for them.
Yeah, because this army, due to the fact that it is so small, it's always going to be struggling to come up with enough command points to use, and that is going to be the real struggle as a Custodes player is because there are stratagems in here that are going to really make the army much more effective, but every command point you choose to use is like a real tough decision.
Yeah. So just to go over a couple real quickly because we don't
Yep.
have time to go through everyone. My favorite stratagem possibly is Unleashed Alliance, also known as the Time the Game Out stratagem or slow play stratagem.
The slow play stratagem.
So this is the
Release the slow line.
Yeah.
Release the lion slowly.
So it's 2 command points, and you use it on the start of your movement phase. You target one of the Alaris Custodians, the Terminators, basically, and they split off into individual units
Yes.
of one model.
Like you don't get to chop it or make a
Yep.
number of units. Literally, every model becomes a separate unit,
So-
and you have to do it that way.
Yes.
The
So
layout.
I'm going to do it on a 10-man unit of them, and I'm just going to have 10 individual models running around, and I'm just going to slow play the entire game down. Where's this guy going to go? Oh, maybe, I don't know. Let me roll events for him. Let me roll his charge distance.
Ugh.
It'll be great. I don't think it's that good of a stratagem because you can already split fire, so having...
Right.
And it makes all your other stratagems not work on them very well. So, like, I don't know. I'd probably, most of the time, would rather have
And you can already
one.
multi-charge.
You can already multi-charge.
I mean,
So, like...
there's weird cases
there's
where,
weird-
like,
yeah.
I want to charge these 8 units. Like, I'm surrounded.
Yes.
Like, literally, I'm surrounded by, like, 20 different units, and I really wish
yeah.
I could charge all of them.
There are
But-
weird cases like that.
but now I can.
If the enemy has some real punishing psychic abilities that target a unit, it can be good for that, so that they can't target the whole unit. So
Sure.
there's a few things like that. So we've got that. You've got your normal, we've already talked the Deep Strike one. I'm sure you've heard about. They've obviously got.
It's incredibly expensive, but I do actually like the Vexilla Teleport Homer.
It's
So-
really good, but you're
so-
never gonna yeah.
I mean, it's 3 command points,
Mhm.
but it lets you teleport within 3 inches of an enemy model
As long as you're teleporting within 6 inches of a
of a Vexilla, which means yeah, that's the like they're in your face and you're going to get charged.
Yeah.
You're not going to fail.
Sixes, thanks for that follow.
Woo!
You're not going to fail a 3-inch charge.
Thank you. I like Shoulder the Mantle. When your warlord is slain, you can take a shield captain. They can become your warlord, which is cool. I actually think Plant the Vexilla is going to be a good one that you're going to see used in allied armies.
Okay.
You use it on one of your Vexillas that did not move, and you increase the range of its ability by 6 inches for a turn.
Which is going to be, in particular,
Yep.
used with the probably with the Vexilla Defensor
Yes.
or Imperial Soup armies. This is the Imperium infantry units have a 5-up invulnerable save against ranged weapons while they're wholly within 9 inches of any Vexilla's Praetors with this Vexilla. So it's pretty much the Dark Angels, like the shield 5-up invulnerable bubble. I mean, it's a custom force field, except if it's at, that thing is cheap, right? That's one
command point.
One command point. You're going to plant it, and you're going to have a
5 invulnerable save for 15 inches.
A 15-inch radius.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of the board.
So I can easily see that being in, an Astra Militarum list.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly 100 infantry and 5 invulnerable saves, which is pretty good. Piercing Strike, you'll probably see me use that in the game today.
Yep, one command point.
One command point. Use it when an Adeptus Custodess unit in your army attacks in the fight phase. Add 1 to wound rolls made for the Guardian Spears until the end of the turn.
Which is pretty good. They're strength 7
They're
already.
strength 6.
6?
I think, yeah.
Because they're strength 5 and the Guardian Spears +1?
Yeah.
So strength 6, so yeah.
So they're winning most things on 2s. 3s or 2s.
On 3.
Most things at that point, they're winning. With +1, they're moving most things on 2s.
Yes.
Which is pretty good.
Yep.
You also have one that lets a unit of Alaris Custodians target characters in the shooting phase.
That's pretty good.
Again, this is the reason why I wouldn't want to split them up, because they are actually pretty good at shooting, and they can wipe out some characters.
And then you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think those are some of the better ones there. Also, you may see me use Avenge the Fallen. Again, this is the reason that you want to take. Honestly, one of the problems with this list has some really good stratagems if you have 10-man units.
Right.
And that's you're gonna get one of those.
Yep.
But Avenge the Fallen.
You're just gonna run out of points.
Is use a stratagem when you select an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army to attack in the fight phase till the end of the phase. Increase the attack characteristics of each model in that unit by 1 for each model in the unit that was slain this turn.
Okay.
Which is, if you have a 10-man unit and you lose 4 guys, you get charged and lose 4 guys, and then you use that means the other 6 guys all get 4 extra attacks. That means
you
could literally have a whole unit that has 10 attacks, which is pretty good.
Pretty scary.
Obviously at some point it balances out, I think, once you start losing more than 5 models.
Because then your squad, you don't have any models left.
Yeah.
Because this is not an army. Again, this is not an army that can absorb casualties.
So those are kind of some of the good stratagems I really like. They actually have a lot of relics.
Yeah, once again, for such a small army, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 relics.
13, which we've seen a lot of the books like this only get 6 relics. Right?
Oh yeah,
Dark Angels, Blood Angels.
Yep. So lots of relics.
Grey Knights.
And the relics are good.
They are. I think probably my favorite one is the Raiment of Sorrows.
Okay.
Go ahead and read that one, Larry.
The Raiment of Sorrows. Roll a d6 each time a friendly Adeptus Custodes infantry or biker model is destroyed within 6 inches of the bearer. Before removing them as casualty on a 4-up, that model musters 1 last surge of strength before succumbing to its wounds. You can either shoot with one of its weapons as if it were the shooting phase, or make a single attack as if it were the fight phase. You cannot use the even in death stratagem on a model that does so. Mm-hmm. So it's the Space Marine Ancient rule that we've already seen, except with Custodess.
Yeah.
So they're already, and it's, yeah.
So it's possibly not as good as it is in a Space Marine list, because you only get 1 attack. So you're either taking, with the basic Custodes, you're taking the 1 shot from your gun or 1 of your attacks in combat. But obviously with the bikes, it's pretty good, because suddenly that bike dies and it gets a full hurricane bolter shot before it dies.
I do like the Praetorian Plate because it's weird, and I like every codex in general has relics, and 1/3 of the relics are just, this is a gun or a sword that's better.
Yeah.
It's just a weapon. So I like the relics that do weird things. The Praetorian Plate is really weird. Terminator model only. When you set the bearer up, choose a friendly Imperium character. So if you're in an Imperial soup army, it can be anyone. It could be a Guard commander, a Space Marine commander, just any Imperium character. At the end of your opponent's charge phase, if there is an enemy model within 1 inch of that character, you can remove the bearer from the battlefield, and even if they were not on the battlefield, if they were still in reserve, and then place them anywhere within 3 inches of the assigned character and within 1 inch of an enemy model. The bearer is not considered to have charged. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to pick some guy who you know is going to get in trouble, probably your warlord or something, and he's going to be off doing his thing fighting, and then you're going to have your character off doing his thing fighting, and then the moment that guy gets charged, you're just going to go whoop and teleport straight over to him, and now you're in combat with him to assist, which is really cool.
I also really like Gatekeeper. It's a fun little one. It replaces your Guardian Spear, but it's one of the better, I think, random weapon upgrades.
Because it's Rapid Fire 3.
Well, it turns your Guardian Spear from Rapid Fire 1 into Rapid Fire 3, which is nice.
Which is solid.
And then you hit on 3s in Overwatch.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Woo!
Yeah, and a Guardian Spear does do 2 damage.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, you charged my character. Well, I get 6 shots to hit you on 3s.
Oh!
It's actually a decent one.
You know who never needs to charge that guy? Eldar.
Eldar.
He'll just kill all of them. It'll be like, come to me, Banshees.
Yeah.
Come to
Well,
me.
Banshees can't do it.
That's fine. That's fine.
But
Don't come to me, Banshees.
I do think
Don't come to
this
me.
army might have the most out of turn abilities.
Yeah, they have
out
a bunch of
anyone.
really funky
Because
things.
they have an ability to, they have a couple abilities to shoot out of phase. They can charge out of phase. They can teleport out of phase. They can do a fair amount of out of phase things.
I need to also read the Auric Shackles because it's
Sure.
another example of a relic that's weird and is really fluffy and cool. So we already know, as an example, that one of the duties of the Shadow Keepers is they go and arrest people and take them to their super jail to be imprisoned for eternity, right? So there's this weird kind of like, they don't necessarily, you know, or maybe the Custodes are here because they want to interrogate someone. So, you know, they're not just these are not mindless killers. Like, these guys are on particular missions to either,
They're not blood angels.
they're not blooded or space wolves. So the Arc Shackles is an example of a relic that represents the Custodes doing these kind of weird missions where maybe they don't actually want to kill people, they want to actually bring them back. The Arc Shackles. These fetters were forged in the Dark Age of technology and adapt themselves to shut down the neural nets of any sentient beings, rendering even the thought of escape impossible. They are used to capture the Imperium's most dangerous foes. Alright, your opponent must subtract 1 from the attack characteristics of enemy characters that are within 6 inches of the bearer, to a minimum of 1, and in addition, in missions that use victory points, if the bearer slays the enemy warlord in the fight phase, you score an additional D3 victory points, because they arrest him and take him into custody, which is cool. I'm sorry, I've arrested your warlord.
It's pretty cool. I think
like, it's just a neat ability.
It's gonna be interesting to see how some of the tournaments, like how ITC reacts to that.
Yeah, because I mean, now you're seeing Games Workshop making. They're formally putting things in the game that are referring to some of the mechanics that are in their missions.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna see reverberations of this, because as a TO, you're gonna be like, hey, I need to start making, no matter what event you want to go to around the world, the TOs now kind of have a responsibility. They need to start making their missions to where they reflect the fact that there are things in the game. You know, you can't just be like, well, we're never going to use that type of victory point. Well, then if you're doing that, you're invalidating legal parts of the game.
At some point, you're going to have to make a decision. You can do that, but you're going to have to be clear.
Right.
Or you're going to have to, like, recognize that those things exist.
Or you're going to have to FAQ it. Like in our missions, if you have the Arc Shackles, it does this. It does. Like, you get like 25 extra victory points or whatever.
Because who knows? Because in some tournaments, depending on the score, D3 extra victory points is either, brutally one-siding the game.
Right, or meaningless.
Yeah. More questions, Jen?
Yeah.
All right. CW Dub says, is this army going to be competitive as a mono-book army?
I don't think so. I could be proven wrong. I think it's just too few models to be very competitive, especially in complex scenarios where you have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, currently I would argue that the 2 most dangerous armies in 40k right now in the meta are just chaos in general. Chaos soup lists are really dangerous that are using combinations of psychic abilities, and Primarchs are with enough sprinklings of demons or whatever else they need are super lethal, and Asher Miltar.
Asher Miltar and possibly Eldar also. Those are probably the 3 up there.
That's true. And the Eldar, it's because of Dark Reapers.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. It's because of Dark Reapers. So the question is can you envision how is this army going to do? If so take your badass 20 25 models of Custodes and put it up against a 2,000 point Asher Militarum list run by someone who knows what he's doing. And think about, I'm going to pound those 20 guys with, 6 Lehman Russes a turn, and with 100 guys, and with missiles, and with, everything's re-rolling, and I have a Bane Blade, and it's re-rolling everything, and, yada, yada, yada. And the question is, can this army reliably, sure, absolutely, if everything goes your way, it's going to be able to get in there and find the weaknesses and break the Imperial Guard army and kill the critical parts of it and make all the order system fall apart, but can it do that reliably? Like 7 games in a row in a competitive setting? I don't know. I don't know.
It's also an army that has a very hard time dealing with vehicles, especially flyers that can leave combat. It doesn't have a lot of other than Land Raiders and the not great weapons.
It does have one trick it can do that people forget about. Those jet bikes can just assault flyers.
They can. That's what I'm saying.
You can just zoom on up there and actually kill them in assault.
Well, I'm not talking about flyers. I'm talking about like vehicles that can fly, that can survive and move combat and shoot.
Sure.
Like they can charge flyers, but again, a lot of the time you're going to be looking at using a 500 point unit to kill a 200 point unit.
Sure. Yeah.
Generally it's going to be very very hammery.
And again, Eldar. That's who I'm thinking of. I'm just
like, be a real
I'm like, if you have once again, if you have a couple hemlocks flying around the table, throwing those strength 10 like minus what is like -4, -5 saves on them.
Let's get it bad.
You're gonna lose some guys. It's gonna be really
psychic powers just in general are gonna. I mean, hopefully the smite nerfs will help them, but still a problem for them. Next question.
Bismarck wants to know general opinion on wardens versus the regular guard.
Okay.
I think the wardens are better.
Yep.
They're like 8 or 9 points more.
Let me give you point cost differences on wardens. So we've already explained the difference between the wardens and the custodians. The wardens have the extra attack, and the wardens have the 6-up feel no pain, basically. Yeah. So they're going to last a little longer. Their leadership is 1 higher too.
And they're 9 points more. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 points more. So 40 versus 49.
I think at that point you pay the 9 points for the extra attack and the feel no pain. The unit has enough wounds that a 6-up feel no pain is gonna come in handy here and there.
That's true.
I mean, a 10-man unit's got 30 wounds, so
it does.
And
now those guys have with Misericordia on there. It's 5 attacks.
5 attacks. And you're gonna have 6 with a banner nearby.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like that's a pretty good unit just to chop through things. So I happen to think that the 9 points is worth it. At that point, you're paying so much more that you're not losing. Like the opportunity cost is very low, right? You're in an all custodian army. Like, well, I could get like 1 extra custodian guard, or I could upgrade all of these guys
to wardens. And I'll take wardens.
Yeah, that's my opinion. But
Moon Tyrannid wants to know, how does the teleport beacon start?
How does it start?
That's what he said.
How does the teleport beacon start?
So they've got there's the stratagem, the Vexilla Teleport Homer. If that's what you're referring to, it's
probably. You
use that stratagem at the end of your movement phase, and you can set up a teleporting Adeptus Custodes unit at the end of your phase. You can set it up wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Vexillus Praetor, other than the one that has been set up, this turn, and it has to be more than 3 inches from the enemy.
Now, also note that the unit that can teleport is simply an Adeptus Custodes unit. You can teleport a Land Raider in off that thing. You can teleport any unit.
Well, Land Raiders can't teleport. Why not? Because they don't have the ability to teleport. You can't set up a Land Raider so that it can teleport.
Are you sure? I could have sworn they were saying that you can do that.
How would you do that?
Because you just put it in reserve.
Unless it has a special rule.
I'm looking. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe not.
No.
That may be wrong.
So their stratagem lets you
don't trust me.
An infantry biker or dreadnought.
I'm looking.
Gentle Ben says Abe.
Hi.
That's all he said.
So
hello.
Interesting question though. Okay, yeah. So let's say that. So yeah. So I mean, you can do it with pretty much anything but a Land Raider.
Okay.
Which again, I think.
What does it say?
Well, you can bring in an infantry. You can set up an infantry biker or dreadnought.
Oh, okay.
With a stratagem to teleport.
Okay, that's what you do. Right, and then you bring them off that.
Then you bring them off.
Okay,
or the Terminators can set up by themselves.
Right. So Terminators innately can teleport, so you don't have to do anything for them. You can use from the golden light they come to place them into teleport reserve for either 1 or 3 command points, and that applies to any Custodes infantry biker or dreadnought. So I was exactly opposite wrong. It's everything except the Land Raider can teleport. And then you bring them, and then if you bring them in off of Vexilla, even better.
Yeah. Any other questions?
What else?
All right. Eisenar wants to know if you can make a mention of some or all of the strats that make Custard synergize with other Imperial armies.
Yeah, real quick.
How do you blend flavors? So they've got Avatar the Emperor. Use your strategy at the beginning of the morale phase. Choose an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army other than a vehicle. Imperial units within 6 inches can use that.
Oh, talk about Tanglefoot Grenade.
We don't have time.
Oh my god.
It is 158.
Okay.
They brought Tanglefoot Grenades back.
They did bring
From Rogue Trader, they brought Tanglefoot Grenades back. I'm very excited about that. And they slow you down. which is exactly what they should do for 1 command point.
I think that's the only one that specifically... Yeah, that's the only one that actually... The only stratagem that affects Imperial Soup. A number of the banners and relics they can get for banners do affect all Imperial units.
Okay.
So in general, you're going to see the Vexilia being used.
Yeah, the Vexilla is going to be super common. I mean, that's the one unit you're going to see just magically showing up in Imperial armies. Because, I mean, that's probably the toughest, sturdiest banner you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard guy to kill. He's a character. So you can't even target him anyway. Yeah. And he offers pretty beefy benefits. And how much does he actually cost?
He's like 80 something himself, and the banner's like 50.
Yeah, the Vexilla itself is
80 or 100 if he's in Terminator armor.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he's 80, and the banners run from 20 through 50.
Well,
so he runs from 100 to 130 as just an a la carte guy who for being able to just throw a guy in your army to give you a 5-up invulnerable save with an 18-inch radius. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
He can also lose that ability with some of the relics and give everyone, all Imperial units, automatically pass morale within 6 inches of him and stuff like that.
Too.
So, conscript forward.
So,
back.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, guys, that is it for our talk show. We are going to be taking the stream down for like a minute, and we'll be coming right back with so no one go anywhere. Our game is about to begin. We have the custard.
It's actually just a custard eating contest.
We're not going to play. Yeah, it's going to be Matt and Abe eating as much custard as they can on a timer.
We got another one of these, so it's whoever can finish it first.
And they have to finish one entire one each before they're allowed to move on to their next turn.
So it'll be like 2 hours of game and 3 hour and a third hour of me and Matt throwing up in buckets.
Yeah. Perfect. Just what you've all wanted.
Nergo strikes back.
So we'll be right back with the game, and we'll see you guys soon.
Man.